Okay, so I'll officially open the meeting of the Commission on Social and African-American Males. Today is August 14th. And we'll go ahead and have roll call. You got, just give your name so I can call them.
Debbie Tony Cox.
Just give your name, Pastor. We have a roll call, so just give your name.
Pastor Dennis Carroll.
Appreciate that.
Tracy Tillman,
That's Damon Carnes.
Nyla Williams,
Lester Norval.
Maceo Rainey.
Willie Millsap.
Arthur Payne. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to envision the agenda. What is the treasurer next? I think normally the treasurer next.
Minutes.
yeah,
Oh, that's right.
accept the
The
minutes.
minutes which we don't have.
Yeah, I can pull it
Okay.
up so we can go through.
Right. And when I talked to her a couple of days ago when she was putting the agenda together, she said she was going to send the minutes out to everybody.
Yeah, I received.
Everybody get their minutes. Oh, okay. Was there any changes or adjustments or any comments that anybody would want to have relative to the minutes? If not, I'm still open for a motion to accept the minutes as given.
Motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second to accept the minutes as written. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, we're
right,
trying to
now.
function without a secretary. So, you know,
We have
Well, I
a
will
veteran
just put down
secretary.
who motion and seconds,
motions, I appreciate
you
that.
know, I'll do that.
I appreciate that. We'll get to it. Okay, now the next item, if I'm not, I think on the agenda would be the treasury report, which Marty's not here. I think we had a couple $1,000s or something left in the budget after all our transactions, but we won't deal with that. Let's see. After that, let's see. We have a presentation. We can go and get that out of the way before we go into our community sharing as far as the organization. All right, sir, do you want to share with us what you came to talk about?
Okay, all right. Thank you, Arthur. I appreciate the opportunity. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maceo Rainey. Before I offer comments and information, I just wanted to go back and recap this group, think tank, the Michigan City Social Status for African American Males, which I kind of mulled over the title for a while, but it leads, the arrow points me to believe that everyone at this table and everyone in this room knows what's in the best interest of black males, that will enable them to grow up healthy, psychologically healthy, to lead healthy lives. Am I correct in believing so? That you all know what's in the best interest?
No, I wouldn't say we actually know what's in the best interest. The beauty of this committee is that we all have ideas about what's best to help black males, and together we come up with collectively what we believe is the best way to do
Certainly.
things. So, because if you say we know, and that's a little bit much, but
Yeah.
we try to collaboratively discuss things and work them out so that when we make a decision, it's in the best interest to the best of our ability.
Certainly. I'm glad you clarified that and established that, because I wanted to pair that with my 40-some-odd years on the planet as a black male and my experiences that I've had, as well as the knowledge of my forefathers that have come before me. So with that said and done, I think we've got a somewhat of a robust and diverse level of knowledge here of what we collectively think that's what's in the best interest of black males to assure they grow up to be healthy and reach their maximum potential. So I want to applaud you all for even having the gall and the guts to even come to the round table to discuss some of these dynamics, because in some communities, they're not even addressing it. And they're not even refusing to even have the conversation. So the fact that you guys are, to me, shows a level of progress. All right, moving along. Again, I wanted to establish myself. My name is Maceo Rainey. I run one of the most signature programs at Purdue University Northwest at the Westville campus that's responsible for bringing hundreds of thousands of federal funded money from the United States Department of Education to the students and the residents of LaPorte County in terms of providing them with pre-college education and the opportunity and the access and inclusion to go to finish high school and matriculate to college. Part of this notion of an interest, what's in the best interest of African American males, I think we can collectively agree that they have to have some form of education. I think I won't get any arguments on that, that our children must have a solid foundational education in order to make it in the 21st century. And this is where the nuts and bolts of my conversation comes into play at, because if we forget that or let that go over unrecognized, nothing that I say is going to make any sense or to that end. So with that said and done, I'm going to give you an overview of what the federally funded program that I run and operate at Purdue University Northwest. At the heart and center of it is to provide educational access and inclusion to income eligible and first generation college students. And what I mean by the term first generation college students, by legal definition, is those students whose mother and father, biological mother and father, never earned a 4-year bachelor's degree. Now, 5 years ago when this federal grant was written, it was noted that over 80% of the residents in Michigan City did not have a 4-year bachelor's degree, which makes it questionable to attract a Fortune 500 company to put a plant in the community if you can't hire its residents. They look at that educational data. So the government said, you know what, you guys are exactly right. We're going to send a boatload of money to LaPorte County to provide pre-college access for students. I want to share with you all for a few minutes this morning. Over the summer, I had the distinct pleasure of taking a group of Michigan City high school students on an East Coast college tour, cultural tour as well, to provide them with the level of exposure and access to university admissions officers as well as financial aid officers to help them make that transition from high school to college. And there's several incidences of exposure that we found out in this whole research and this trip. So we started out in Westville by meeting up with the students, loaded up on a luxury bus, and we headed to Boston, Massachusetts. In Boston, Massachusetts, we were able to see and be exposed to a lot of things that on their own, they probably wouldn't have had that opportunity. Matter of fact, from a numbers point of view, this was an over $50,000 trip. It cost our students zero, not one red penny. It was all federally funded. All they had to do was sign the application, have their parents sign it, return it back to school, I process it, and then they're in the program. That's all they had to do. It was no cost to them. They stayed at 5-star hotels, ate at the best restaurants that the money can buy, not a penny. And again, on their own, probably the likelihood that they would be able, the families would be able to provide them that opportunity would be less. So we're able to pick up that gap. But most importantly, we were able to walk them through the college application process. And by the way, if you are self-identified as a first-generation college student, well, arguably and statistically, you're already at a disadvantage as opposed to a continuing education student whose mother and father have the social capital, the plugs, the connections, the money, the resources to get their kids in through school. And as a first-generation college student, many of the kids, just like myself, was a first-generation college student, even learning the university vocabulary, like what's a chancellor, what's a provost, what's a registrar, and things of that nature. Those terminologies and those type of exposures have to be taught. And we were able to do this at some of the places that we've been. Can we move to the next?
Yes.
Again, I wanted to establish the foundation of what is TRIO. in terms of this federally funded program that's in our community. And again, making sure that parents, community members, and taxpayers have the right information, a large part of my job. But in the 1960s, the 36th president of the United States, Lyndon Baines Johnson, affectionately known as LBJ, one of his signature domestic policy was called the War on Poverty. And under those two subcomponents was the Higher Education Act of 1965. So when we think of the word trio, we think of three. And that normally associates with three pre-college and college programs. The first of them being Educational Talent Search, Upward Bound, and Student Support Services. All of these programs were put together by LBJ to make sure that American citizens had access to college, because he himself knew that the future of America and the youth relied on their ability to get an education. And quite frankly, education in the African American community has had a complicated relationship since 1619. Now, it was once illegal to educate the American Negro. So he knew that. That's why there's federal funded dollars sent to communities to provide educational access and opportunities. With that said and done, those three major programs, Educational Talent Search, which I operate and supervise, Student Support Services, and Upward Bound, make up the trio programs, and the money comes from the United States Department of Education. We have two representatives that represent our interests in Congress, and that's Peter Vesklowski out of Lake County, and I forget the young lady out of Porter County. I think her name is
Karen.
Karen, absolutely. But we elected these individuals to go to D.C. to advocate for low-income, first-generation college students and bring the money back. And here's the irony of that, is that every U.S. president wants to emulate LBJ in his domestic policy on education. George W. Bush had No Child Left Behind for 8 years, which was arguably a colossal failure. Kids still left behind. President Obama had Race to the Top, and the current president, President Trump, attempted to slash the budget of TRIO by almost $12 million, saying that those kids were not graduating. But the problem is, it never passed through the House. There's too many congressional warriors that pulled out their stick and beat him back into place, because they're not going to take funds away from low-income, first-generation college students, because many of themselves were first-generation college students. So his proposal in the House went nowhere, because there's too many congressional champions that we have in D.C., and that's how we get the federal funded dollars brought back here. Next, please. Okay, here's a slide that I want you guys to pay special attention to, because this is where the equity and inclusion piece comes in at. If you take a tour to Michigan City High School, Portage High School, or Knox County High School, you'll notice that for every one guidance counselor, there's about 200 to 300 kids in their load, which produces a level of stress for the guidance counselor. So if you are a guidance counselor and you have 400 kids on your load, and some of your kids have two parents at home, they have money, they have access to capital, you're probably more likely going to give your time and attention to those kids and those parents. But if you're low income, first generation, with a lot of social issues and things of that nature, who do you think the guidance counselor, as a tug of war, is going to feel is more easier to work with? Probably the kids that got more resources and parents who are college educated and got something going on the ball. Probably easy more to work with. That's where we come in at. And I have a fully funded staff here, consisting of Kristen Patterson, Lynette Knightley, Julia Ferreira, and Erica Bradford, that literally pick the slack up at our public schools to give kids the added necessary help and support that they need. For one guidance counselor to have to service 200, 300, maybe 400 kids is a tad too much. And I know what it's like to be overworked and underpaid. That leads to stress. And again, that's where we pick up at as I direct and provide the leadership for the Talent Search program at PNW. because we can pick up and I can see what the guidance counselor at Michigan City can't see. I know that this kid needs to be in AP math. I know that this kid needs a remediation class in reading. And from the educational statistics, the number one problem that most African American males have is literacy and reading. Okay? Because if you can't read very well or read on grade level, you're going to struggle with math. Because most of the word problems require high levels of reading. So we have to get levels of intervention in reading. Okay, next. Okay, our program, pre-college program, again, I believe what's in the best interest of black males is getting a quality education. But we're able, one more, back please. We're the largest and biggest, most comprehensive pre-college program in all of Northwest Indiana. I didn't say half or part of Northwest Indiana, but all of Northwest Indiana. And I challenge any other pre-college program to rebuke that, because we have the federal funding to accompany that. But these are an example of an array of services that we offer, from cultural activities. We offer students, because the school district can't afford to send kids to Washington, D.C., Chicago, all over, and put them up in 5-star hotels. We can. We have the money. Okay? From various career exploration. Last year, we took a group of Barker and Krieger Middle School students to the Chicago Bulls game. But before the game, we met with the Chicago Bulls personnel staff and human resource staff and marketing team, and they talked about how going to college and graduating and majoring in these fields enabled them to run a sports team and make money at their job without dribbling a basketball. Total conversation piece that opened the eyes to our young people. Okay, and also one of the things I want to be very particular with and bring to the attention of the community, this thing right here, ACT, SAT, test prep, this is the biggest thing that puts a brick wall in front of African American male students. The SAT and the ACT exam. Okay, that's the test that's used to separate people. And we offer a level of test prep tutorial that's second to none. We bring in the SAT guru, Dr. Jim Giovannini, to do a boot camp with our students to prepare them with the strategies to find success on that exam. Did you know, ladies and gentlemen, and follow me very carefully on this, that if you answer just a couple of questions correctly on the SAT, that determines how much financial aid dollars you're eligible for. If you're an African American male and you score a 1250 on the SAT, you have no business paying for college anywhere. They're going to come after you and give you money to come to their school. Case in point, I had a young black male who was in our program, went through the test prep, scored a 1290 on the SAT. Valparaiso gave him $90,000 in scholarship money. So we had to get out of that deal for Ball State. Tell Miss Pence at Ball State, thank you, but no thank you. Let's go to Valparaiso. They're paying for it, free. All because of what you did academically in school. Yes, sir.
What's the window in those programs after SAT? How long is the program?
Well, we bring in the guru on a contract as need basis, but all throughout the year, we're running different program services to prepare students for the college application process. Everything from writing your personal mission statement, to conducting yourself in an interview, to writing your essay, and to the applying for a university. We walk them right through it. And also doing the FAFSA, the free student aid form that has to be done and completed by April 15th. Okay? And we show them the correct way to fill out a FAFSA form. Again, the counselor at Michigan City has 400 kids. And the ones that probably are less difficult to work with are going to get the attention first. So that's where we pick up the slack and are able to provide these opportunities. And most importantly, we're able to provide college visits where I can get a group of kids, load them on a bus, and I can take them down to Indiana State, IU Bloomington, Notre Dame, and various colleges through the state, and then walk them through the university channels. show them how the application process works on this university. You see, a good high school counselor can help you with the process of getting in college, but an excellent educational administrator knows the college admissions board and the financial aid people in the offices. There's a difference. Because it's very competitive too. Next, please. Okay, I mentioned earlier that I thought a good cultural and college tour opportunity this summer was to take the Michigan City kids up to Boston, Massachusetts, the cradle of a lot of American history and also the birthplace of really American education with Horace Mann and the first American day school. But we're able to see, in this picture right here, we're able to see a live reenactment of the 54th Cavalry Unit, which highlighted the fact that African American men served in every major war in this country from its inception. From the time that the boat arrived in Jamestown, Virginia in 1619, every war for the defense of this country and democracy has been fought by African American men. So the issue of whether or not you're patriotic or the black community is patriotic or not, history shows that the level of patriotism speaks for itself. Fought in every major war. Okay? And we're able to see a reenactment of the 54th Cavalry Unit that was highlighted in that movie, Glory. And then we also visited the site of the Boston Massacre and Paul Revere's home, in which he took that historic ride to let the colonists know that the British were coming. The British were coming. All the things they've learned about, hopefully, in the American school system. But they were able to see a piece of history here in Boston. Next, please. Quickly, we also visited Harvard University in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and MIT. Harvard and MIT are one of the most rigorous schools to gain acceptance into, but it's possible. Our tour guides were the first people to tell us that they didn't have a 1500 on the SAT or a 36 on the ACT, but it was their interview package and their essay writing that sold themselves, and the universities found value that they saw in them and admitted them to university and gave them the financial aid to go to school with. So it's possible for our kids at Michigan City to transition into some of the nation's finest colleges. Next, please. And then from a cultural point of view, many of the kids have never gone to a Major League Baseball game before. So I thought it'd be a great idea to take them to the historic Fenway Park to see the Boston Red Sox, who were last year's world champions, play against the Chicago White Sox. And they were able to sit in the historic Green Monster and also meet, some of the kids met Carlton Fisk, the old Red Sox legend from back when. And then we also visited JFK's Presidential Library in Boston. And that name, Kennedy, is a huge revered name in Massachusetts, the Kennedy family. But to be able to go to these cultural events free of charge, and again, LBJ is really the brainchild of these type of events and activities that bring educational opportunities to underrepresented communities. Next, please, quickly. And then from there, we loaded the bus and headed to New York City. And throughout our travels in New York City, we visited Harlem, passed by NYU, Juilliard Music School, and also we rented out a yacht and did a tour around the Boston Harbor. Again, New York Harbor. Again, these are educational and cultural experiences that students on their own may not have had the opportunity to see. But to see the Apollo Theater, to see Columbia University and what the diversity of what New York City brings, all free of charge. And on top of that, we had a good time on the boat with the DJ, full salad bar, everything, all for free, first class. Next, please. And again, that exposure piece and breaking down really the history of legal immigration in this country, what Ellis Island was significant in the context of U.S. history, and also giving them exposure. Many of these kids from Michigan City have never been outside city limits of Michigan City. Next, please. And again, our next stop and final stop was Washington, D.C. And that first sequence, we stopped at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., and met with the admissions officers and the financial aid officers, and they told us pretty much the same thing we heard at Harvard and at MIT, is that it's important you take the SAT and SAT, but we look at the whole well-rounded student, how well you can articulate and the value that you bring to the university, and I can help you get into that school. Next, please. Probably the crown achievement was our visit to historic Howard University, which I like to coin as the mecca of black intellectual thought in the DC area.
Capstone. The capstone.
Capstone, I'll take that too.
I was born on that campus.
Is that right? Okay, all right. So I guess my point was very well taken. That Howard University arguably is the capstone of black intellectual achievement in Washington, D.C. But their admissions officers and their financial aid officers made it clear that they're willing to work with our students who had to, first of all, take the first step in making themselves known as an attractive candidate. But to show them Thurkill Hall, the hall where Thurgood Marshall and Ernest Everett Just and Maya Angelou once walked the halls here, was very historic, and also met with a great deal of reverence. Next, please. And then from a cultural point of view, too, we toured the Washington National Mall. We were able to see the Washington Monument, a tribute to the fallen veterans, and also the Lincoln Monument, and also the steps where Dr. Martin Luther King gave his historic speech on that day in 1965. 63. Okay, right here on that step as well. Again, an opportunity to have a level of cultural experience and educational experience that on their own probably could not have made it there. Next, please. We're getting close to the end. And our crown capstone of our trip was visiting the Smithsonian Museum, because I've always have been a strong advocate that children should know their history, to appreciate not only their history, but learning the history of others. But the Smithsonian Museum of African American History had a pretty much a variety of various elements of African Americans' history that showcases the contributions of blacks all over the world.
We able to do all 7 levels.
Yes,
Okay.
all 7 levels we were able to visit, and also see the video about the construction, and also the moral, educational, and ethical significance of having such a museum constructed right here on the National Mall. That means when anyone comes to Washington, D.C. to visit the National Mall area, they're confronted with looking at the history of African Americans. And spending time with African American males, the number one problem that I've diagnosed with them, many of them have not been exposed to the history and the sacrifices of Africans that live in America and worldwide. And this was a great opportunity to connect them with that, but I had to assess what they already knew. And many of them knew little, had a vague knowledge of their cultural history, which was healthy for everyone to even have that conversation. Next, please. Again, I mentioned because our program is federally funded, we travel pretty much first class, and also able to provide high volumes of lodging and some of the most delicious food that one can imagine. In Boston, of course, we were exposed to the New England clam chowder, and also, most importantly, we were able to spend money in various communities. So the kids ate well and had good lodging accommodations, because we're entrusted with their most valuable resource, their family, the children. Okay, next please. Okay, here's where the rubber meets the road at, so that as this think tank knows what's in the best, or at least has an idea of what's in the best interest of black males, to be eligible for this program, you have to either be 12 years to 27 years of age. When we look for these kids, 67% of our kids must be low income, first generation, the first in their family to go to college. But I have 33% of the kids that come from backgrounds called other. That means that the parents could be both college educated, lots of money, you name it, doesn't matter. but 67% of our kids must be low income and first generation. And for people who are serious about doing something about the educational achievement of black male students, this is the first step, is completing an application, front and back, and then having the student return it to their high school guidance counselor, who will then contact me, and I will come to the school and get it, and then process them at the university and invite them into the program. This is the first step in getting close to college and career ready and access and opportunity. Now, I've talked to a lot of parents, and if they're on the fence or unsure, this is a program that gives them an advantage, an edge. And at 13, 14 years old, a lot of kids don't have the mental capacity to make an adult decision that's in their best interest. So I'm relying on the village and the parents and the people that have the interests of black males at heart to help them make a life-changing decision that has everything to do with educational access and inclusion. So I wanted to leave some applications here for that decision to be made. That's it. Does anybody have any questions, comments,
How do
or
you get
reactions?
students now? How do you get them now?
How do we get them now?
The students that you have, how did you get those students?
Through an avenue of just fierce recruitment, to be quite honest. We're not only in Michigan City, but we're in Porter County, Portage High School, we're in Lake County, River Forest, we're in Stark County, Knox High School. All these students and families are vying for these seats. But since Michigan City is just 3 stoplights from Westfield, it's only logical for me that the program is top heavy with Michigan City students. My problem is I don't think I'm getting enough energy from the families of Michigan City to see the value in this program. Now, I'm not going to stand in your way. If families think that working at Walmart or the meal or the construction is the key to the good life, by all means, go ahead on. But I offer another key to the good life, because I think for the future of our children, they must have some type of education. And most of our kids at P&W are working, going to school, and taking care of family. And after 4 years, it leads to a 4-year bachelor's degree.
So it's the kids that you have, though, I'm asking you, how did you get those kids? Was it through is it like going into the schools and getting them, or were they referred?
I thought that I had hit on that, but it's exactly going into the schools.
Okay.
It's going into the schools. It's being aggressive and intentional with the recruitment piece, but it's also helping the educators see in the schools that we can provide a level of help. I looked at the academic achievement of black males at Michigan City High School and at Portage High School. They need help. The scores show. Most of them can't read at grade level or do math. So whatever you're doing here at the school level, I understand, but we can offer a level of help and support. Let us partner and help. Because on your own, we see the results. So having the full resources of a university connected to the students gives them a level of access and support and empowerment. Again, and if it's too much, or the family or the community doesn't want to be part, I totally understand. I take it right to Stark County or Porter County. Someone's
I
there.
don't think it's that much that people don't want to, but here in this community, you have to get the information out continuously. It's not going to be, I get it out now, everybody's going to grab it. I can tell you've only been here, a year or two?
A year.
Yeah, so it's going to take you about another 2 more years before it can continue to get into circles like this and so forth to get the information out. I don't think it's that people don't want it, that you got to take it to Stark County. I think that you got to continue just to get it out to the people, because unfortunately, I'm sure if you go to any other neighborhood or urban area like Michigan City with our population, that you're not going to get it out as quickly as, just doing one time and doing it. So I don't think it's people don't want it, it's just getting information, because I can tell you now, it's probably the people here at this table who have been here for years and don't know a lot of information that's going on now, because it's just so much, and there's so much to know, and if we don't have those kids and so forth, so I just think it's just a fact of not people don't want it, but just continue to get information.
And that's the reason why I came back again twice, to try to reinforce that message. And also for the fact that I've got a short window. I've got a short window of time to get as much kids in the program as possible. So the likelihood that, time's of the essence is what I'm saying. And this is for the parents and the students that are serious about moving this needle forward. So yeah, that's why I came back twice here, in hopes that I can get some application and recruit some students because time's of the essence and I have to go to another community. But I prefer, if all possible, since Michigan City is a neighbor, 3 stoplights around the corner, that we can get more kids from Michigan City. And when we look at the African American achievement of black students in this community, I think that it's a perfect match, that we can offer a level of help.
Well, and
I have a question.
appreciate you coming and sharing, but it's got a lot to do with the school system also. It's not just the parents and the people in the community. It's got a lot to do with the attitude, direction, and support that the school system gives. So we appreciate your presentation, and you
Certainly.
do a lot
And if you all know any kids, any black males in this community that go to Michigan City High School, that you believe that it's in their best interest to be in this program and they can benefit, give them an application. Recruit them for me. I greatly appreciate the help, because I want to spend all the money on the resource on the students and don't want to send any money back to the U.S. Department of Education.
Well, I think the commission, that's one of our goals, working with young blacks, old blacks, black males, period. So,
And if I can get one from this room, just one, I think that's a step in the right direction. 'Cause I believe that this think tank, a group of people, have the interests of black males at heart. If I can just get one.
well, the ones you've been getting from the schools have probably been touched by us at one time or another, so we're involved
Okay,
with you.
all right,
And we'll continue to be involved with it. So we
Okay.
appreciate it.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Question, Nina.
Yes.
Yes, I did. What is the requirement on the child side? You said recruit them, they get in the program, but what are you looking for from them? What do they have to do? See you
The
once
long
a
and the
week?
short of it, the long and the short of it is, for one, the first step is for them to complete the application in its entirety, because it's a federal document. It goes to the Department of Education, so everything must be completed front and back. That's the first step. And then the second step, I'm going to look at their grades, because that's going to tell me how serious this young man is about their education. Now, if they're not less than a C student, then that's fine. I will take you, but I'm also going to give you immediate intervention and tutoring services. We're spending almost $10,000 for an online tutoring portal. So we're going to be monitoring your grades. So I will let you in the program on a probationary basis, with the notion that high expectations and grade monitoring will occur for you to stay in the program. So those are really the only 2 things that I require. One, the completion of the application, and a made-up mind. Because this program is for the serious student that wants something more out of life. Yes.
You indicate it's for grades 6 through 12, but what if someone watching has been out of school and realizes, you know what, now I recognize that education is the way out? Do you offer services to assist those
Absolutely.
folks?
We take them as late as 27 years of age. Okay, even if they did not finish high school, we'll take them, accept them in the program, and get them connections to adult education so they can finish their secondary education, and then help them transition to post-secondary.
Great, okay, thanks.
Any other questions that I can answer?
Gonna leave us some cards?
Absolutely, I can do that.
Please do.
Now, thank you for your time and energy, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate the help and support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate your input.
Paying them back, we leave them.
Right, no problem. Anybody, I think a couple had said they might have to go. There's no problem. We need to catch up. Let's get the treasury report.
Yes, I have to go. So I passed out the treasurer's report. There were only like 2, I think, at the end there.
Sure.
Actually, it's like 1 back to school rally sponsorship came out.
716.
Also, I think Rushing for Yards and the African Garden Friendship Garden payment for Delora. And then we made $78.61 on our fundraiser for Five Guys. So that brings us to a total of $2,364.76.
Any questions or comments relative to Marty's report? If not, I'm open for a motion to accept this given.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All
Moving in second that we accept Marty's report as given. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All same sign, that's carried. Thanks, Marty.
Thank you.
You do a good job on that. Okay. All right, moving on down back to our business. The African Gardens, little business. Okay. Actually, that's an area where I have some input. We've been doing a lot of talking. So since July 24th, I've visited 4 banks: Horizon, Fifth Third, Chase, and First Source. In attempt to talk to the CRA representative who Community Reinvestment Act to start the process to try to get this $17,000. Horizon, the young lady that's in charge is on vacation. Fifth Third, I did talk to an individual at Fifth Third and was told to submit a proposal, which I'll be putting together. Chase told me that the marketing person would be calling me. He hasn't called yet. First Source, they told me that a person would be calling me, and a couple of days after I met with them, he called. On the 8th of August, I met with 4 representatives of First Source Bank. It was a very positive meeting. Matter of fact, I'm looking forward to the ongoing process that I'll be involved in an attempt to secure some funds. The First Source was extremely interested in the project. I thought that it went quite well. So those are good signs. And as far as continuing that, although the secretary had checked, I had talked about a GoFundMe page, and you found out some information on that, but I got a daughter that stay in Richmond, Virginia, Toby, and I talked to her last week, and she said she'll establish, she worked for this recruiting company, recruit teachers and stuff. Anyhow, she said that she'll establish a GoFundMe page for me. And that she thought that people could be interested in donating to this type of project. So I'm going to be sending her information on the project and see about getting that started as soon as possible.
What bank would it go to?
I use Horizon, so I'll probably make some arrangements for that. That's the bank I deal with. So,
Mr. Chair, there's a new bank that's
it's
moving
just
into our,
like Gary.
okay. Centier, is that the one that you,
No, I'll be going to, I'm going to all of them.
okay.
I'm going to all the banks, and I'm also going to businesses that the banks are starting off. I just retired, if you want to call it that, so I'm finna put full time into trying to secure this money. And I'm saying that because I have no problem with that, because we've been dealing with this for a couple of years. But I need some help. We had a committee, but that took a long time, so that fizzled out. I need some people on the commission that will come together and do something to get us some volunteers to take care of this gardens. And I said that I have a young lady that is dealing with it now. She's working with Laura, and thank God things are coming along all right. But we need some volunteers. I went to the Ministerial Association on the 3rd. I talked to them, but I didn't get a firm commitment that they would be involved in terms of securing volunteers or whatever. Matter of fact, there were some other things they wanted me to do. So I'm coming to the commission, hopefully that there can be some people volunteer to try to get us some volunteers to take care of this thing, because that's becoming a problem. Miss Hudson is the young lady, she's not young, but she's the lady that is taking care of it, and I really appreciate it. Matter of fact, I'm paying her. So that's how serious I am about it. But that's me. I'm not asking nobody else to be involved in that. That's my situation. I would like some help getting a volunteer. I'm going to work, and if you want to work with me on the fundraiser, I would enjoy it. But we got to try to raise this money. Ain't no use us having this project and getting it started and playing with it. It's too serious for that. And it's going to be an endeavor, especially to get the money, but I think we can do it. We're going to make a try, a nice try. But it shouldn't be that much problem getting some volunteers to just take care of it. Right now, It's not actually needed, Ms. Hudson is doing it, it's just tree plants, but we're gonna need volunteers. So I'm reaching out to the commission for help on that.
Mr. Chair, reference to funding, are we committed to just banks or could we address
Everything.
credit unions?
No, it's everything.
Credit unions also?
Banks, credit unions,
Okay,
if you was working with a credit union.
right. Members Advantage
If
there.
you need me to go to them, I'll go with you.
I'll go with you.
We set up appointments with banks, credit unions, businesses, the grocery stores, the big market stores, everything in town that has a given attitude, we want to touch base with. Well, it's that serious. And so if there's somebody that you have in mind, you know, if you feel comfortable, you represent the commission. I don't have to be there. If it's a company or a business that you feel that you can go to and make a presentation about the garden, if you need information about it to do that, it's open. I would love it.
Okay.
This is a commission effort. It's not just a one or two people thing. We've been in this for 2-3 years. And when we first got involved, everybody was a part. We need everybody to be a part now. That's what I'm asking for. Support from the commission to get this thing out of the way. It's going to benefit the black community in a lot of ways, especially culturally, but it's going to benefit Michigan City in terms of diversity. That's what the bank was excited about, the fact that we're promoting diversity. Michigan City trying to be the #1 city in Indiana with tourists. Let's have a diversity attitude to that. Draw people, and that takes one thing about diversity, because when you're looking at diversity, you're looking at color has no meaning or no matter. It's supposed to be. I ain't saying it's always that way. And I say that because if we can commit Michigan City to a diversity attitude, that takes the pressure off black men who are stereotyped all over. I mean, if you see a black man, you're going to put a stereotype on him. Blacks even do that. We stereotype our own black men. So what I'm trying to say is that we can do this and interject a new attitude of diversity in Michigan City. This has got to help the black community, not just black men. That's how I look at it. That's how serious I take it. So I just wanted to share that with y'all in that sense. Does anybody got anything else to say about the garden? Okay, well, let's try to get to working hard on it. This is a commitment we made, and let's be serious about it. Okay, so that's basically. Oh no, I have one more thing that's not as dramatic. It's a little bit nicer if I can find it. Oh, here. Bear with me. Okay, this is a press release. When we give it up, we're getting some exposure. On July 25th, 2019, Jared Payton Jr., I think that's what, Jerritt, Payton Jr. of the Michigan City Boys to Men Workshop at New Hope Missionary Baptist Church won first place in the National Bar Association, which is the Black Legal Association nationally. He won first place in the National Bar Association Martin Luther King Jr. Drum Major for Justice Advocacy competition in New York City. He won a $5,000 college scholarship. He is the best student orator before the NBA, the National Bar Association in America. He will be attending Rockhurst University in Kansas City, Missouri in the fall. He has been a mentee of Judge Ben Sims since the 6th grade. Judge Sims is the individual I had mentioned that started the rites of passage at New Hope Church and then at the library. So he's involved with a lot of young people. Also on May 18, 2019, he also won first place and won $1,000 scholarship at the local NBA MLK Regional 7 competition in Chicago. Additionally, on May 18, 2019, Sidney Mahone, young fellow, graduated from Marquette, outstanding young student, also of the Michigan City Boys to Men Workshop, won third place in the NBA Regional 7 MLK competition in Chicago. Congratulations to these fine young men. I'm so proud of their hard work and accomplishment. This was given to me by Judge Sims. I told him I would share it because I'm proud of it. We should be proud of it. We're talking about young black men, and I'm reading this because I want the city to know this. Outstanding young black men coming out of Michigan City.
Yes.
No matter what you hear or what you read, they are outstanding. And we've given out 4 or 5 scholarships to top black male students. And we will continue to do that. But this is an important document to me. This speaks, we've been doing a lot of talking. This speaks to it. And I'm promoting my church too. Judge Sims will be starting up the Boys to Men workshop again in September. But I think he did with all of you. So I just wanted to share that with you. Okay, if it's all right, we'll go around. I know we had a nice presentation, but it took up that time. I want to go around and give everybody a chance to share like we've done. Start with the NAACP, or you want to do that?
I'd rather be last, but while we're going around and do the things, we need an updated contact list to make sure we have all the right numbers for the commissioner. So I'm going to pass this paper back around that you signed your present on and ask that you give a
Phone number.
phone number and an email to make sure that we're contacting you at the right place.
Yeah, the reason I'd ask the secretary to do that because I was trying to think about getting in touch with one of the members and I didn't have a number because we don't have an updated copy. So I asked her to make an updated copy of everybody and their phone numbers and stuff for everybody's convenience type of thing. So that's why she's doing that. So really,
Just that there's a new store opening up at Lighthouse Mall. It's called H&M. They plan on opening the end of the month or next month. So they're going to hire like 40, 50 people off the back. So.
what type of store is it?
It's going to be a big store. It's huge. It took up 5 big stores, right?
Where's it gonna be, really, at Lighthouse?
Lighthouse at our old location over by South Bend Chocolate.
Oh, okay.
You can go online. Everything is online now. You can go online and go through the application process.
You think you know what it is?
Hopefully next month, but once again, you have to have personnel. H&M.com.
Okay.
So,
Just reporting that August 7th, the Drug Free Partnership hosted a breakfast and learn, and that went really well. The next meeting for a Drug Free Partnership is 9/3, excuse me. So September 3rd at Neath at 8 in the morning. So please come and join. Anyone in the community is welcome. We're dealing with and trying to tackle the substance abuse and opioid epidemic, and there is federal grant money out there, so we may have additional monies pouring into our community, which is a wonderful thing. And then also, as you all know, you probably got pictures from James Garrett. He attended the Michigan City Back to School rally and sat at our booth the whole time. The whole time. I was there 2.5 hours, and we gave out suckers, and Marty brought the banner, so the banner was at the table. So we were represented there. But next year, you guys, I really think we need to, like you were saying, Arthur, I think we need to take a look at, our executive director can make it from Indianapolis to sit at that booth for 4 hours. We probably need us to maybe sign up for hours and be there to assist. So anyway, it was a wonderful, successful event. It was beastie hot, but they did a wonderful job hosting. So.
But this time I had an excuse. I was meeting with the bankers.
There you go. There you go.
Normally I don't have an excuse.
And that's it for me.
Lester, you have something you want to share with us?
No, I don't really have anything, but I got a Christmas in August. The neighbors that I've been talking about, they all got a U-Haul and moved out like thieves in the night, man. So it's peaceful. Quiet. All 20 dogs, all 20 dogs, everybody's gone. Man. So it's a residential area now instead of a neighborhood. It's a residential area now. So
Got to send us our gift. Excellent.
All right, that's true. Glad somebody left. Okay, Reverend.
I've got the date. Last meeting I talked about the community picnic for the churches. I've got the date for that. That will be September the 22nd. It's going to be at noon and it'll be at Pullman Field. So all the churches are coming together on that day. for fellowship and fun. There will be no main speaker, no offering taking. It's just going to be about fellowship.
What's the date again?
September the 22nd.
That on Sunday?
That's on a Sunday at high noon.
Time, I do.
At Pullman Field. At Pullman Field, we all agreed to do a neutral place.
To the public?
Open to the public, open to the churches.
Beautiful.
That's all I have.
Anything else,
Nope, that's all I have.
How's new barbershop person coming?
It's going well. We're having our second barbershop talk, which will be August 17th. This coming up Saturday from 12 to 1:30 p.m. at Cutting Up Beauty and Barbershop located at 1608 East Michigan Boulevard. So anyone that you know have any concerns or questions while they're coming to get their hair done, a nice line or some braids, we can talk and discuss child support.
Have you had any type of results from your first meeting and think it's positive?
I've had some individuals that that was relayed back to me, or they called in and had some questions. So hopefully, as we do this more so, and hopefully we can do it on a bigger scale, not confined at a barbershop, but at a bigger location to where it's actually put out there to where everyone can truly come in, not just because they're in the salon or the barbershop at that time. And because there's so much to cover about child support, you can't sum it up in an hour, hour and a half.
Well, you know, it's actually comes up to you, your barbershop, which is a good beginning. If you want to move to another venue or bigger and have a community meeting or whatever you think in the commission, we will facilitate that.
Okay.
You know, we will come up with, there's a lot of meeting places, we can come up with a good meeting place and then publicize it and have a community, whatever you, because as long as it's going all right, we want to continue it.
Okay.
So just let us know.
Thank you.
Reverend.
No report.
All right. You're here, that's a report.
I'm here, right.
All right, then you got.
All right, just want to report really fast that yesterday the NAACP did have their education forum at the Michigan City Public Library. Unfortunately, we thought it was going to be at a different location and it was going to be a different date, but it was still a good turnout. And it was still also the first day for freshmen yesterday. Freshman orientation was yesterday, as well as the Krieger Middle School did have orientation approximately about the same time that we did. But we did have some very informative speakers and presentations from Michigan City Area School Assistant Superintendent Wendell McCullum, LaPorte County Career and Technical Education Director Audra Peterson. Unfortunately, Pat Boyd did not make it, but she did email and apologize. And we also had Economic Development Corporation Executive Director Clarence Hulse and Indiana Department of Education Director of School Improvement Robin LeClaire. And we also did hear from Mr. Maceo Rainey, who spoke with us today from Purdue Northwest, and Mr. John Schoenfelder from Ivy Tech College. The community was able to answer a lot of questions regarding suspension rates, regarding some of the funding and the resources and how can we make our school systems better. So it was a well-diverse crowd. The NAACP is considering doing another one kind of later in the school year, and hopefully will come from the kids and parents' perspective at that point. I also passed out to you all that on August 1st we had a No NISCO Cost Shift rally, which thank you so much, Pastor Carnes, for being one of the speakers there. We also had Pastor Jakari Williams and a few others who did very, very good at helping us tell NIPSCO that we don't want to cost shift. So we are having a post-rally celebration on Saturday, August 31st from 3 to 5 at First Presbyterian Church. The address is 121 West 9th Street in Michigan City, and that is with the NAACP, the Port County branch, and Indiana Beyond Code collaboration. And I do want to invite you all to our next meeting, which will be next Thursday on the 22nd at 6:30 at Ivy Tech. Where we're going to talk more in depth about the education forum, and we're also going to talk about several other issues. I did see Mr. Payne yesterday at the education forum. I do want to thank him so much for sliding in really fast to kind of support. So I think that we're setting kind of a new precedent with everybody trying to be all on board for this success of our students. I think that's important for the students to see at the beginning of the school year, because a lot of African American males in particular don't know what support system that they actually do have. And so we want to be able to make sure that they know that the community is here for them, the commission is here for them, the NAACP is here for them, and there are other organizations that are also here for them. So being able to come together on one accord is really, really great. I will be posting that information on a YouTube channel for the LaPorte County Branch NAACP. And if you haven't already, please like our NAACP LaPorte County Branch 3061 Facebook page. And I did notice too, I just want to put this out there, that the Michigan City Commission has a social media page, but we do not, I know it's not as active, but we also are not sharing what information is on there. So I am encouraging everybody, because one of the things we just talked about with Mr. Maceo Rainey is we have to be overactive in getting the word out to the community and getting that support drawn back to us. So it's a reciprocity thing. So thank you all so much, and I hope to see you all at the NAACP meeting.
I'd just like to echo the efforts that the NAACP did yesterday with the educational forum. I think it was well done. I think, however, we still we missed the target audience due to school. But I would like to hope that groups such as this commission and other commissions, we all come together and maybe present another opportunity where we can do an actual interactive session with specifically young black males, and with the parents.
That's what the next target. So this first time around, we just wanted to get the information from the states and all of our resources. And then the next time around, because at one of our meetings, we did have a student speak about their concerns within the school system. So the next time around, the panel will be full of parents and community members and the students as well, so that we can get a real diverse view of what's going on in the perspective, so we can see how we can solve these issues that are happening. Because the numbers were alarming. Again, once I post it, I will share it, and I'm asking you all to please watch that we're not there, because it's very, very informative. So, thank you so much.
As far as, you're talking about more involved, and this is not so much promoting the church, but Ron Williams was there last night.
Yes, he was.
And I talked to him today. He's already invited 2 of the individuals that spoke, that were there, to come to the church. He says it's kind of unique, because usually at church you just take care of church business. But he's going to set aside some time in terms of education. He's invited them to come during service, and we're going to give them some time to speak. And I'm saying that because the churches have to get involved.
Yeah.
To me, you always hear me talk about the churches, because that's how we get 2 black people. Well, I can't put it no other way, because a lot of them don't read the paper or listen to the news and do a lot of other things, and I ain't judging that or anything. But to me, the churches are a valuable asset in terms of informing the black communities. And I know they hate to have people talk when you're on Sunday, but that's when you get the most people there. That's when you got the congregation that don't take but a few minutes, especially if you're talking about education and health and things of that nature. So that's why I shared that.
Yeah. Well, you were at the last Ministers Alliance meeting. That's what I brought to the ministers. Right. So the pastors are becoming more open to people coming in and talking during their service. So it's been a traditional thing, and you have to break some of those traditions. And a lot of times people are fearful if you break a tradition. Especially with the church. But all the pastors that are in the alliance are, which we have about 7 or 8 right now. They're all being open, and we're going to create a database so that we can get information for different things in the community, and we use those Sunday services to get a lot of information to the people. So that's happening.
Yeah.
It's in the works.
I actually talked to Pastor Williams yesterday too.
Yeah.
So he's going to allow us to come actually this Sunday
Yeah,
to come talk about the post rally
awesome.
and what we're doing. So we will be at, and we're hoping to come to you next.
Oh,
so.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Good,
Absolutely.
good, good. That's all we can do is try to get information to the community. We can't make them do anything,
Right.
but our job is to get that information to them
Right.
and push it.
You're right.
So appreciate that. Is
I'm glad
there-
to see we coming together as a community. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, it's scaring some people,
Yeah.
but it's a good thing.
Yeah, you do what you have
It's
to
a good thing.
Is there any other comments or any concerns or anything? If not, I'm open for a motion to adjourn.
So.
Moved in second, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Good meeting, good meeting.